Hello everybody. Hopefully I can, this lighting is a little better. It's not quite the expository video that these earlier ones have been. It is Monday. I wanted to post this video in terms of our, what I consider to be our live notes motif that we're going, posting these videos. This would be discussing, we're a little out of sequence. Last time I posted a video and we discussed, on Thursday we discussed 16. Tuesday, this is from a week ago, we discussed organizational power. So I wanted to kind of provide a summary for that. These are the readings in reading 17. Please remember not just to read the reading itself, but please read the introductory, the setup to these readings. They contain a lot of pertinent information to the concepts that are examined. So please read both the primary source information. That would be the article, in this case Robert Michel's Iron Rule of Oligarchy, and read the introduction, which has some context and background information about the general concept. Okay, so that said, let's review the idea of power in organizations. Max Weber defines power as the ability to impose one's will on individuals or groups. Now, this is a problem because it's hard to distinguish when that's happening and when, well, there's sometimes when it's very easy to distinguish it, but there are times when it's a little bit of a gray issue. Are we talking about sometimes it looks like power, but it could be influence, the ability to persuade somebody, or it could be a group consensus. So this leaves us with a couple of concepts that kind of well up in the sociology of organization from time to time. The force of personality, charisma. But neither of these are permanent or social structural, but rather they're idiosyncratic elements of personalities of individuals rather than positions. So where does that leave us? Well, the legitimate use of power is authority. Now, authority, and we've talked about this previously, remember, authority means legitimate use of power. Okay? Now, again, legitimate here, don't be confused by your sense of legitimate, meaning good or valuable or just or righteous or authentic. Legitimate merely means that the power is inherent in specified rules or laws. I mean, the Nazis exercised what we could consider to be legitimate use of power. They passed laws, law after law after law. They were very litigious, in order to justify the genocide. But and that was authority, but of course the outcome was horrific. So we have to be careful about the use of the word legitimacy. That said, for Weber, in our first reading, reading 1, power is attached to positions. Just to review for a moment. And it inheres in the rules, the bureaucracy, the characteristics of a bureaucracy that he outlined in reading 1. In Jackal, reading 14, we see that the corporate managers can leverage, though, this position into a personal loyalty and obedience does not resemble much the rational view of power. It resembles more something like charisma or traditional authority of kings. So, this personality revisits itself here a little bit in terms of organizational power. Power is not just inherent in individuals or positions, however. For Braverman, that was reading 3, power is inherent in the way that the capitalist system has produced de-skilled work tasks. In other words, and that's inherent in the capitalism. They took a craft worker with a body of knowledge, and that body of knowledge gave them human capital, or the ability to sell that entire body of knowledge. And they took that one worker and they de-skilled or broke his task into constituent small parts, distributing them in a way that was that devalued the worker. You know, that they could pay each of these individuals who just knew how to do one simple task, less wage. So that was Braverman's view of power. Buravan, in reading 15, argues that workers they have some remaining discretion. It's residual, but it serves to generate consent in the constraints that workers are manipulated to unwittingly support the existing order. I mean, bosses are somehow manipulating the workers to get them to support their own oppression or their own wage alienation, right? Okay. So Graham, in reading 7:12, extends this a little bit and outlines how attempts to more deeply control workers can backfire, generating worker resistance. It's the dark side of the human relations model. Workers, they're alienated from their work, but they want to attach them and bring them in and give them a sense of feeling, but that they really know at some level that that's not the case. That they're merely pawns in this system. So in reading 17, it's a classic, both in the theory of power, organizational power, and bureaucracy, and formal organization. Robert Michels, and it's pronounced Michels. It's spelled Michaels, but the pronunciation is Michels. He did not focus on any of these elements. He focused on the aspect of formal organization itself can differentiate people into powerful versus non-powerful groups. Michels is analyzing power in socialist trade unions. Now remember, to review for a moment, one of the tenets of European socialism, that's akin to communism, is a sort of egalitarianism, or all the workers are equal. When these organizations started out, they were ran democratically. There was no real hierarchy. People were elected to term-limited offices, and the officers came from the ranks of the workers. But something happened, and the organization grew in size and complexity. Now, we'll be examining size and complexity in subsequent analyses we do of organizations. But remember, it's kind of in this model, Michel's model, it's what we would call an independent variable. As size and complexity grew, office holding became a professional role. More decisions had to be delegated to officials. Office holding became a professional role, and a salaried class of administrators gradually closed itself off from the membership it served and monopolized the benefits of office for themselves. With the development of a bureaucracy, the gap between leaders and the constituents who they were supposed to be serving grew, and the systems of maintenance and growth of the organization itself became an end in itself, separate and distinct from and replacing organizational goals. So we can apply Michel's theory to a wide range of organizational contexts. Universities used to be run by professors, hospitals by doctors. This isn't the case anymore. They're run by professional salaried administrators, just as the trade union was. So we can apply this theory to a whole range of organizational contexts. The takeaway from this, again, from this reading, is that the more organizations become large, size, and the differentiated in form, complexity, the greater the differentiation of power between those administering the organization and those who are members, employees, constituents, customers, or other classes of people for whom the organization allegedly exists to serve. And the needs of the controlling group of an organization come to supersede those of the original organization. The inevitable process, which is sometimes debated rather idealistically because the preponderance of evidence indicates that Michels was right in his assertion about the relationship between the variables size and complexity, which would be independent variables, and organizational power, and a power elite, which would be a dependent variable. It's been played out fairly well, and the data indicates pretty succinctly that this is exactly what happens in most cases. But Michels' concept is termed the iron rule of oligarchy. It's the title of this text. An oligarchy, again, is a term that literally means, and I mean literally, rule by the few. You know, think about a monarchy, ruled by the one, and oligarchy is rule by the few. Okay, this is a summary of this set of readings, reading 17. We'll be moving into reading 18, and I'll be making a video set of notes that will accommodate that set of readings today as well. Today's Monday. It's Monday afternoon, and we'll be seeing you tomorrow morning on Tuesday. Thank you very much.